Hello, it is Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. I'm 27 years old, and it's me, Jordan. Hello. I have my cup of coffee with flamingos on it. It's adorable. We're about to get real. We're about to talk about womanly things. We're about to talk about PMS, luteal phase, lunacy, depression, PMS. I already said that, PMS. Getting on your period. I'm like, do I want my glasses on? I don't know. These are my blue blocker glasses. Okay, I'm gonna keep them on right now. Yeah, we're gonna talk about womanly things, and I'm getting real because part of this whole experiment for me of sharing things on YouTube, creating videos and audios and documenting my life is I just want to be as me as I possibly can be and be honest about my experiences and the reality of my life and just be a person and share what I'm going through or what I'm thinking about or what have you. And yesterday was a weird day. It started out okay, but it just progressively got worse and worse and worse. The afternoon, I just felt like I was going insane. Now, before I really get into it, I just want to preface by saying I'm just a woman who is sharing from her own personal experience. I don't have a ton of extensive knowledge on hormones and PMS, and I only know things that I've acquired just from my own research and searching for information and understanding or trying to understand myself and my body and my mind and all of it. So can I just say the difference between me yesterday and me today is completely crazy different. It is a stark difference. I actually felt like I was going a little bit insane yesterday. Just to provide context. Okay, let me just why am I even talking about this? Yesterday, I was really, really deep in my luteal phase. I am very in tune with my cycle, my monthly cycle. I'm very aware of when I'm going to start my period, and I am pretty regular. So I know what's up, and I knew I was going to be starting within the next couple days. And at the end of my luteal phase, not every single month, but a lot of the time, I have a really, really hard time. It is literally like the day before I start my period, I feel like I'm going insane. And it's this very quiet insanity. It is going on in my mind. I am usually not very outwardly spoken about it. It's not that I'm like going insane in the form of like being angry at people, yelling at people, or like anything like that. For me, it is a very quiet, tumultuous experience. And it's all just happening in my mind. I don't think as clearly. I feel like I just don't know how else to describe it other than I feel like I'm going insane. And not every month is so hard and intense. I was reflecting on it today because today I started my period. And like this morning, and I already started to feel better like immediately upon waking. It's insane, but I was thinking about that this morning. What was I thinking about? Now I've gotten off my train of thought. What was I thinking about? Wow, I really lost my train of thought. I apologize. What was I talking about? Well, maybe I'll just pivot a little bit, but maybe I'll get back on track eventually. Yeah, this morning I started my period and I feel like a brand new person. Oh, I remember what I was talking about, or what I was thinking about. I was thinking back to this last weekend because today's Tuesday. I was thinking back to this last weekend, which was like the last few days of my cycle, and what I was eating and how I was living. And it's not like it was all bad or anything, but I definitely noticed that I had a lot more sugar this last weekend, which I have some sugar here and there, but I try not to overdo it because I know that the next day after having all the sugar, I can feel not so great. And sometimes it does affect me mentally. And I think that that could have played a part in why yesterday was so intense and hard for me. I just noticed over many, many, many months of kind of keeping an eye on my cycle. I've noticed how different things affect me. Sometimes my luteal phase is fine. I feel pretty good. I might have a little bit of a lull right before I start my period, but like I'm pretty good. And usually around that time, around those times when it's better, it's usually because I'm taking really, really good care of myself and eating really clean and not messing around with any sugar and not overdoing it with anything that's like bad for me. But if I push it at all, if I have too much sugar, if I am, I don't know, just, I don't know, not taking as good care of myself, I definitely notice a difference. And I feel like my luteal phase is a million times worse than it needs to be. So I was reflecting on that this morning, thinking, sometimes it frustrates me. I get frustrated at myself when in my luteal phase, I am having a really, really hard time because I feel like it has something to do with me and my behavior. If I had only, avoided some of that sugar and maybe eaten a lot cleaner the past few days, maybe yesterday wouldn't have been so hard. So sometimes I do get a little frustrated with myself because I'm like, it does have something to do with my habits and how I'm taking care of my body. Because I do not think that, let me rephrase that. I believe that your luteal phase should not be that bad. Like it should not be that bad every month to the point where you feel like you were losing it, like you're going cuckoo bananas. Like I felt like that yesterday. And I was trying to I was just dealing with so much because I was dealing with some of that, like almost like shame of like, if only I had taken better care of myself the past few days, maybe I wouldn't feel so bad today. So I had to deal with some of that, some of those thoughts. And then I was just feeling very confused and disoriented. And sometimes that happens in my luteal phase, especially right before I start my period. I feel like my head gets really cloudy and I can't think straight. And then I feel some sense of shame around that too, because I'm like, I should feel clear-headed. Why do I feel this way? So, yeah, like yesterday started out fine, but then it slowly descended into like bad, bad territory. And I don't even know. I sat down last evening before I ate dinner. I sat down on my bed with my laptop and I was like, I kind of want to just talk about how I'm feeling right now. Because I've been recording some of my thoughts and stories and things recently. And I was like, this is a really low moment. I know I'm in a really low moment. So I'm just going to like talk about it. And I did. And I genuinely thought about sharing it because That's the thing about sharing things online. Most people don't share the ugly parts. So there was a part of me that was like, maybe I should put this somewhere because maybe someone out there will see a bit of themselves in me and the thoughts that I was having, the experience that I was having. Like maybe they will relate. Maybe they'll feel less crazy because like someone else out there is going through something similar. I just really, I entertained the thought and I still have the recording and I could share it. I don't know how I feel about that right now. That's why I didn't do it yesterday. I recorded it yesterday. I was really, like, you can tell. If I were to share that, if I were to share a side by side of that video yesterday to the video I'm recording right now, you would be like, that's a totally different person. Like, I felt like when I watched through the video last night and I was like, I feel like you can see the heaviness in my eyes, on my face, and it was like really hard to watch. And I was like, maybe I share that so that people see the good and the bad. Because if I'm sharing things online, the way that I'm sharing them, I'm just really being myself and sharing things that I'm thinking about, and it's just very much me. If I'm sharing very authentically, shouldn't I share some of the bad stuff too? But I think I knew last night, I was like, I'm not rushing this decision and I'm going to sleep on that. And if I want to share it tomorrow or the next day at some other point in time, I can. But I don't have to do anything like that right now. I was just recording it to document for myself, at the very least for myself. So I slept on it. Sometimes you got to just sleep on something, like sleep on it and see how you feel the next day. Like, and that was something I was reminding myself of last night is if there's ever a decision that feels like it's asking you to rush, it's like, do this, like do it now. I just look at that with a little bit of wariness. I'm like, why are you asking me to rush? Why do you want me to post this so bad? Why do you want me to share this immediately? Why can't it wait? So I was a little skeptical last night of those feelings, and I was just in a weird place last night in general. So I was like, I don't want to share anything from that place. So regardless, anyways, moving on. I slept on it. Today I feel like a brand new person, and it's crazy. And I was just like, it's just so crazy. I feel like a totally different person. Like, I mean, obviously I still feel like me, but I just feel renewed and like it's just not the end of the world. And seriously, sometimes the day before my period, it's always just the day before my period, I feel like I'm losing it and like it's the end of the world. And I reflect back on when I was growing up, when I had first started my period, and as I was, working through my teenage years and whatnot, I wonder if I'd understood more about PMS and the period and the menstrual, like all the different phases. If I'd understood more, maybe I would have had a little bit more grace for myself. I didn't realize until much later that there are recurring themes and different phases of your cycle that repeat every single month, every single cycle. It's like clockwork. It's like the same sort of thing every month. So when I was younger, I just didn't understand the intricacies of that. I didn't understand that, this time of the month, I feel depressed or whatever, anxious maybe, and it's not really necessarily me. It's my changes in my hormones. It's maybe some of the food that I was eating also probably wasn't helping back then, but I just didn't understand some things. And eventually I came into more information and knowledge and understanding around the menstrual cycle. And I became very in tune with my cycle every month and how I feel at different phases of my cycle. And it just gave me a whole new level of understanding for myself. And it's hard when you're in it, when you're in the really low lows, to give yourself grace, like to give yourself the grace that you need. But at least you understand. At least you have the understanding. Like yesterday, I knew. It's like I knew in my mind, this is really just exacerbated right now because of my luteal phase. And once I start my period, I will feel better and I'll feel different. So I just need to ride this wave. It's like I knew that in my mind, but really understanding that deep down in my heart of hearts was like not happening. It wasn't clicking. It was not clicking yesterday. Yeah, it was just, it was not pretty. But now, today, I feel like I can talk about it because I have a better, like, head on my shoulders. I just feel better today. So I feel like I can talk about it and I can share about it and be honest about it. But I'm not so, like, in it. Like, yesterday when I recorded this little video of me talking about what I was feeling, I was in it. And it was ugly and sad. And now I'm out of that. And I feel better. Thank God. But I think I really love talking about these sort of things. I love talking about the menstrual cycle and periods and PMS because a lot of people still are just now learning. Like, I mean, I've had conversations with my mother about this stuff, and she's like, man, when I was your age, I did not understand all of these things. I did not understand all of these intricacies of my cycle. And I don't know that she ever fully understood her cycle. And then eventually she went through menopause and now she doesn't have one anymore. But like, I don't think she ever fully understood it. And I don't know, it's like, it's crazy to think about that. But I feel like the most recent generations, like my mom's generation, her mom's generation, I feel like they genuinely did not understand things about their cycle. Maybe some of them did, but by and large, women did not understand anything about their cycles. They did not understand PMS. They didn't keep track of it like that. They just lived their lives. They had their periods. Eventually, maybe they had babies and then they went through menopause and that was it. But they didn't understand. And I don't know what got me into this stuff. I don't know how I started learning about this. Some of the things that I like, the menstrual cycle. I don't know. I know it was around the time that I was in my early 20s, but I don't remember what brought it on, to be honest. I just randomly started learning more information from the internet. And I think maybe people that I was hanging out with, I guess, like, I don't remember. But I just started to understand some things. And then I started to really notice, once I understood the information on like a brain level, I started to really get it in my own body and notice it every cycle, like the fluctuations in mood and the highs and the lows and the really low lows of the luteal phase that then takes you into the menstrual phase. Like, and I think just having more understanding around it helps. I think it helps to some extent. But at the end of the day, you also just have to feel whatever feelings you're feeling. Like yesterday, deep in my luteal phase, I had to just feel what I was feeling. And I couldn't escape it. I couldn't force myself out of that place. even if I prayed, even if, I'm not even kidding, I was praying, I was trying to talk myself out of it. I was trying to lift my own spirits. I was trying to pray so that God could lift my spirit, and I was just trying to get out of this immediate moment and this immediate feeling that I was in. And I couldn't. And I just had to, I know, because I've gone through this so many times, that in those moments I just have to accept I cannot force myself out of the feeling that I'm in right now, but it will pass. I have to remind myself of that every time when I feel like I'm just going crazy. I'm like, this moment will pass. And when I start my period, I will feel okay again. But then I was thinking yesterday, when I was in it, when I was in the feeling and I was really struggling, I was like, maybe there is something, maybe something's trying to tell me something. Maybe the feeling that I'm in right now is trying to communicate something to me. And I think one of my big takeaways was I need to avoid a lot of sugar leading up to my period. Because I genuinely think that made my luteal phase a million times harder. Specifically, just yesterday. It made yesterday really, really hard because I overdid it. And I feel like those feelings that I had yesterday, I'm like, I know it's really, really hard and it sucks right now, but I feel like I also need to pay attention to these feelings and ask myself, maybe when I'm feeling more clear-headed and I'm on my period, but maybe I need to reflect on this and ask myself, why am I feeling that way? Maybe it's the sugar. Maybe that's something I really, really need to take more seriously, is like managing my diet, making sure that I'm eating good food all the time, but especially right before I start my period. Maybe that'll make things so much easier for me if I just eat clean, good food all the time, and I won't have such a low like I had yesterday. So maybe it's that, but maybe there's other things. Like, that's something that I wanted to just put out there because, yeah, sometimes, the luteal phase can just be really hard, but I don't think that it needs to be that hard every single month. I don't think it should be that hard. I don't think the luteal phase should make you feel insane. Maybe that insanity, or that feeling of insanity and that feeling of like, I'm just going crazy, maybe it's trying to tell you something. Maybe it's trying to communicate like you're feeling this way because there's something else that you need to address, or there's some habit that you have that's not good for you and you need to uproot it. And maybe that feeling is just trying to communicate something to you. Maybe. So I'm like, take a look at your diet, take a look at how you're living, like your lifestyle, your habits. And if there's stuff that is not serving you and that is just weighing you down and making your luteal phase like a million times harder than it needs to be, maybe you got to address those things. Because like I know, because I've had luteal phases that were easy and that felt good and I felt fine and I didn't feel like I was going insane. So I know that it's possible. And I believe that that should be the case every month, every cycle. I don't think you should feel like you're going insane every month. Maybe there's habits, behaviors that you need to address. Or maybe there's people in your life that you need to talk to or have a conversation with or not be around. I don't know. It could be anything. It could be anything. But I would pay attention to that. Like, why am I feeling so intensely insane in my luteal phase? Surely there's something I can do to help manage that feeling so that I don't feel like that every month. But also, I know there is such a thing as PMDD, which is, what is it? Premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which it's a very intense case of PMS. So some women do have that, where if you have PMDD, it is like really, really bad. You might feel like you're going crazy in your luteal phase, and your depression is like really amplified. Now, I will say, don't diagnose yourself based on the internet and what the internet says. Talk to a doctor. Talk to someone who actually knows what they're talking about, because that is just something that, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of not. How not everyone, but a lot of people online try to diagnose themselves. It's kind of funny, but it's not. It's like, maybe you don't have the thing that you think you have. When I was on TikTok a lot, which I have since deleted because I don't use that anymore. When I was on TikTok a lot, I would see these conversations regularly on my feed, and people talking about PMDD and saying in the comments, it seemed like everyone had PMDD. And I was like, okay, like maybe there's a lot more people who have PMDD than I even realized. And I remember I actually went to see a doctor maybe a couple years ago now. And I ended up asking her about, like, she just asked me, I think she was asking me questions about my cycle. And I just asked her, like, yeah, like sometimes in my luteal phase right before my period, I get really depressed and I have such and such symptoms. And she was like, and I asked her, I know there's this thing called PMDD, but I don't know if it's that. And she was like, honestly, you probably don't have PMDD. Sometimes PMS really is just like that bad. Sometimes it's just PMS. Sometimes the depression and the feelings that you have right before your period, it's just PMS. So I'm just putting that out there because that's some information I came into. And I ain't trying to diagnose anyone with anything, but I do think PMS is pretty normal for most women, or a lot of women, to deal with. And PMDD, I think, is a very extreme case. And I think there's a lot less people who actually have PMDD. But it's something to maybe talk to a doctor about, see what you can do to help manage your symptoms. But I think a lot of the times we have more power than we think we do. Like I said, it's like I feel like it's all based in your habits and your lifestyle. And if your habits and your lifestyle are good and taken care of, if you're eating healthy, if you're exercising regularly, if you're just taking care of your body, your menstrual cycle, the whole cycle, should be relatively good. That's my belief, at least. I think if you're taking really good care of yourself, everything should kind of be okay. I mean, I still have cramps. I still usually get cramps, but so like I think there might be some symptoms that you're just going to feel regardless, even if you take really, really good care of yourself. But I think that's the baseline. That's if you are struggling with your luteal phase, lunacy, if you feel like you're going crazy, assess your habits and your lifestyle and just see if there's anything that's like a major red flag. See if there's anything that you need to remove from your life or change, like a habit you need to change. So, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to touch on with this. I don't know. I just want to put it out there. I just want to talk about this because I'm very passionate about this topic. I'm very passionate about women understanding their cycles, their bodies, and their rhythms so that they can have grace for themselves when they need it, so that they can understand what the heck is going on in their body. And no, I don't understand the intricacies of it. I don't understand all the science behind it, but I understand the basics. I understand enough to know kind of what's going on. And I just want women to understand that. Teenage girls too. I'm like, if you have a period, I want you to understand your body, because I feel like it just has been pretty empowering and helpful. It's just been like a helpful tool for me to have some basic understanding of how my body works. So I think that's why I want to talk about it and be really open about it. And I think not only do I want women to understand this, I want men to understand it too. Because I'm like, if you have a woman in your life, which I would say like every man has a woman in their life because every man has a mother. Not every man has a wife, but you know what I mean. It's like you have a wife, you have a sister, you have women in your life. You should understand, especially men should understand the basics so that they can like understand why their women are feeling the way they're feeling and acting the way that they're acting. Like, I'm very open about this stuff. With my boyfriend, he knows. I'm like, yeah, I'm in my luteal phase. Or yeah, I just started my period. Or whatever. Like, I'm just very, he knows. I make him very aware because I'm like, I don't want to use my luteal phase like craziness as an excuse to act a certain way and to be rude. But I have voiced that to him before when I've been in a really like bad state of mind. I've been depressed or anxious or extra needy or just like not like, I don't know, just feeling off. I have had to voice that to him before and be like, I really think this is because of my luteal phase and it's not an excuse, but I just want to offer an explanation for why I'm acting like this. So it just gives him more context for my behavior or why I'm feeling a certain way or why I'm thinking things or why I'm, feeling super insecure or why I'm like, and it's just helpful for him to be aware of that, so that he has more context for what's going on with me. So, yeah. I just like talking about this stuff because I'm like, it really shouldn't be. I really believe that this, like periods, PMS, menstrual cycles, it should not be that taboo of a topic. We should just be able to talk about it. It's a part of life and we should be able to talk about it and be aware of it so we understand each other, So that's my TED Talk for the day. That's my TED Talk for the day. I'm going to go get some work done and live in this menstrual phase bliss that I'm in right now. Hallelujah. Can I get an amen? All right. I'm heading out. I'll see y'all later. Bye.